It's not easy living on a dying planet, but it is easy to feel overwhelmed when it comes to making changes and taking action to try and save it. Where do you start? Is it even worth it? Can you really make a difference? Welcome to the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast, where we attempt to answer these questions by spilling the tea on living sustainably in a world that's going to shit. I'm Brandy.
And I'm Hannah. And for years we've been navigating the big, messy grey area of caring about our planet. It hasn't always been smooth sailing, but we're not giving up yet. So, brew yourself a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's try and navigate that grey area together.
Hello, Give a Shitter. This is Brandy.
And this is Hannah. And you are listening to episode number 15 of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah. Welcome back.
We took quite a break over the summer. And
a well-needed break.
Well-needed break, yes. And we've been referring to this as season 2, but as you heard, this is episode 15. I'm just going to keep on numbering in order because it's easier than season 2, episode 1.
Oh. I was kind of excited to say season 2, though.
Okay, you can still say it, but the episodes are still going to be titled sequentially.
Excellent. Okay. Well, seeing as you do that part, I'll let you decide.
So yes, welcome back, everyone. Hope you also had a restful summer. And if you are listening to this in a time in the future where it's not immediately after the summer,
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, hope you're doing well. So today we're back, and initially I thought we would chat about what we've been up to this summer and where we stayed. We traveled together and talk about tie in sustainability a bit, but I think that can be a whole other episode. Mm-hmm. Because we chose a travel sustainable property and blah, 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 we can go. That can definitely be a whole episode.
Yeah.
And other things that happened over the summer that I'm really excited to talk about are a couple pieces of, environmental-ish news. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how to categorize it. But I'm not usually a big fan of following the news because it's upsetting. But a lot of people kept posting about these two things on social media, so I started to look into it, and I'm, have mixed thoughts, feelings on these, and thought we could try and work them out on this episode.
Sounds good.
So, but before we get into that, we're updating the format a little bit. Basically, we're just not doing tea time with actual tea anymore.
Yeah, we there were a lot of times when we didn't even have the right tea.
Yeah.
And I think it was a bit confusing.
And I felt, I like the idea of it, but in practice it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So we're still going to have tea time where we, talk about, where we spill the tea and there just won't be any actual tea. We're both drinking water right now. There'll be times for sure we will be drinking tea. I will, more likely me than you, Hannah. So with that, we're going to remove that, and then I want to do a bit more research and prep and do an episode so that we're doing less Googling in the episode, though that will probably still happen because
probably.
You can't ever know or prepare for all the things. And it is still a casual kind of conversational podcast. That's not changing. So things will come up that I just can't stand to not know in the moment because millennial. So I think those are really the housekeeping updates. I'm still undecided on whether I want to do a bonus or brief episode in the in-between weeks of our regular episodes. I don't know. Stay tuned for that. You'll either see it or you won't.
Yeah, it'll be pretty obvious if we do it or not.
And
so,
hope you enjoyed our new intro.
Yes, we're proud of it.
Yeah,
it sounds much less wooden than the first one.
Yeah, I like it. And I think it represents the show a bit more too. And then stay tuned for our new outro.
Yes. You've got a treat in store.
Okay, so 2 things I wanted to talk about are Nespresso and Patagonia. Mm-hmm. And for those who may not know, Nespresso is now a certified B Corporation. And Patagonia, the founder, has given away his company essentially to fight climate change. So, Nespresso, we can try to have that chat together. Then try to move on to Patagonia. Yeah. They will likely weave in, relate a little bit, but they're a bit different in their news. So,
can you tell us what a B Corp is?
Yeah. So, a B Corp and this topic is, like, I think more gray to me and a bit more, like, upsetting, confusing me, because I've always looked at B corporations as, like, not a gold standard, but, like, I've always felt good about choosing them. Anyway, there's a nonprofit called B Lab, and they have all of these standards. They're a third-party certification, and they certify companies as certified B Corps or B corporations. There's a grocery store down the street. I mean, that's all organic and a B Corp. And, you know, you can find shoe companies, and you can even find financial services. Like, there's a whole range, and we'll link, like, the directory that you can find. A ton of category: food, clothing. Yeah, the banking, financial stuff surprised me.
Can you tell us what a B Corp is?
Yes, a B Corp, certified B Corp, certified B Corporation, B Corp, like, you'll hear all of those. They're essentially a third-party certification that kind of looks at how well a company is doing. So they have been certified by this B Lab, that's just the nonprofit, to have met rigorous standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. So they look at just not its effect on the environment, the people who work there, social efforts.
Customers as well, right?
Yeah. Kind of all the things. So I've always looked at it as, like, not like, I kind of view it as, like, recycling, a good place to start, but a bad place to stop. But I've always felt generally pretty good about, even if a company's not perfect, okay, they have the certification, and I can feel good about, like, starting there. One of my favorite grocery stores is a certified B Corp. And yeah, I've always felt really good about, like, whether I'm looking for a new shoe company or food or their financial services that can be certified, which is new to me, which gave me an idea for a future episode, but we'll circle back to that. So Nespresso, being a child company of Nestle, can I say it that way? Yeah.
Right? Is that the technical?
Subsidiary? Yeah, I think that's technical word. Nestle is the parent company of Nespresso. And recently Nespresso has become one of these certified B Corps.
Yeah.
And I have confusing thoughts on that because, for those who don't know, Nestle is not known to be the best of companies.
No.
And Nespresso, not just their, like, the single-use aspect of the coffee pods, which we'll come back to, but the fact that they have been in the news for not treating people very well.
Yeah, I was reading it was some child labor in Guatemala.
Labor, wage theft, just not good things. So now it's become a certified B Corp, and other people are like, wait a minute.
Right.
Like, this is kind of like tarnishing the name, because I thought the whole point of being a certified B Corp is like, oh, okay, we have the certification, brands put it on their website. Hey, like, look, like, these are the efforts that we are making, we have made. And for a company like Nespresso, I wondered what they...
Because you have to be quite transparent to be a B Corp, right? You have to post all of the information of the way you got improved, and I think I was reading, is there like a 3-year like improvement plan or something?
Yeah, like it's a quite rigorous, detailed...
show improvement towards the areas you were lacking in.
Yeah, so... And if you go on Nespresso's website, they have like this section of their... Of course they're going to put it all over the website.
Right, of course.
Inspired by a holistic approach. B Corp certified companies rethink their approach at every level and implement practices that consider the impact on all stakeholders, employees, partners, customers, society, and the environment, which, yeah, sounds great. And for us being Nespresso, this means committing to circularity, climate, and communities through numerous programs, initiatives, and structures. Like, they have some AAA sustainable quality program that I'm not sure how much of a, like, posturing thing that is, or how much good it actually... I didn't, like, go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, so they put that all on their website, and there's an article in Fair World Project that breaks down this news and looks at different, like, elements of, like, why this is an interesting move, to say the least. I love this one. Nespresso, perhaps best known for using celebrity spokesman George Clooney to give a high-end cosmopolitan look to their single-serve coffee pods, which, yeah, I mean, George Clooney can make anything look good. Or perhaps they're best known for the recent string of human rights violations on farms that grow their coffee, from child labor to wage theft and abuse of factory workers. So Oh, yeah, all good things. Either way, the brand seems a surprising fit for B Corp's claims to certify, quote, business as a force for good, unquote.
It's a great article, by the way. They have a lot of quotable elements. So, yeah, we'll link it in the show notes. You should definitely... That was the article I found most helpful as an overview because...
Yeah, it's fairworldproject.org, and we'll link the exact article. But so...
What are you thinking?
I don't know what to do with this. I personally don't buy these Nespresso pods. I have consumed them when staying with people because that's... If I want coffee, that's what's there. And I make peace with that because who am I to come into someone's home and say what they should or shouldn't do, coffee-wise or just in general. But yeah, it does make me question my reliance on B Corps and looking for that label, for that logo.
Do you buy that they could have met enough of the requirements?
I mean, they have. You have to score an 80 above for all the different elements.
And they scored 84 or something, right?
Out of, I think the max is 200. But to be a certified B Corp, you have to score 80 or above on how they score things. And one, criticism I found about B Corp's certification process, or maybe it was a suggestion that changes that it's just a sum total. It's not a minimum per category.
Okay. Right.
So you can be lacking in one, but if you're doing
really well in another.
Exactly. You meet that overall. So I don't know, maybe that's how they slipped by. I don't know the ins and outs of how they certify and what the exact
and I mean, I guess some of the issues that have come out about child labor have come through investigative journalism, right? I don't know if there's any current court case or anything like that against Nespresso. So,
and I couldn't find anything about B Lab responding to people being upset about this.
Right. I mean, yeah. I guess you could say if there's no official complaint being made, do they have to take it seriously, right? I mean,
yeah, my initial thought is it just looks bad. It's bad PR, which I think people in PR say there is no such thing as bad PR, but I don't know. In this case, I think it is. Because if your whole point is to certify people and then they're supposed to feel good about supporting these brands and companies, and then one that this doesn't make me want to now support Nespresso. Oh, they're certified B Corp. Okay, I feel good about buying their products now. It's more of, I'm questioning, this move. It just doesn't...
Yeah. But I guess... I mean, I agree with you, but I'm wondering, if someone's going to buy the product anyway, isn't it better that Nespresso are somewhat striving to be a more sustainable company, even if it's just for a case of greenwashing?
I mean, yeah, it's all relative, but I mean, doing something for the sake of greenwashing is just some more money ends up in their pocket. It's not actually.
But if the impact is the same, as in if
but to be when you call something greenwashing, it's about profits, not about the impact. So it's greenwashed.
Right.
Things tend to not make an impact.
Okay. But
is the way I think of it.
No, that's true. Maybe I'm using that term wrong. But I guess if in theory, which perhaps is debatable, they are going to have to try and improve to continue to have this certification, or because consumers are looking for a more sustainable product, even if their goal is actually about profit, if to get more profit, they have to do something that's good for the environment. Isn't that a good thing in general? Even if the motivation is to get more money.
Yeah, my issue is does this how to phrase this? Does this condone their bad behavior? Where's the accountability to stop treating people like shit?
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's kind of we're having two different debates in a way, because I think one, from what I've heard and what we know about Nestle and from the news about Nespresso, it's quite hard to argue that they have a nice, clean record.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's definitely an issue around, them being supported and that by B Corp. And you're right, it kind of removes it does remove some of the credence around that certification, because you think, well, we know all this stuff about them, but they still count as, a more ethical product. But on the other hand, I guess there's another argument, perhaps maybe better used around a different kind of multinational, or I don't know, like somewhere where they don't necessarily have that record, they don't do anything good, but they're not actively doing something bad. If the motivation to be more sustainable or more ethical is to get money, rather than because they want to do something good for the environment, is then maybe that's kind of okay.
I don't think it is. That doesn't sit right with me.
But the impact is the same.
But is it exactly the same if you're like driving force, motivating force factor, whatever you want to call it, is to make money, which is hard not to, I guess, in a capitalist society, which we'll talk more about in another episode.
But I mean, that is, I mean, I would say if your motivation is just the money, then obviously your limits are going to be lower, because you're just going to want to cover what you need to cover in order to fulfill a minimum standard to show your customer. You're not going to work extensively to have an impact. But at the same time, you're still going to have that individual, the motivation is not as important.
Yeah. I mean, you can't remove money from the equation, because to exist as a company who is trying to make a difference, just in general here, you got to keep the lights on.
Yeah. But, I mean, does this kind of lead us into the next issue with Patagonia?
Yeah. But I did.
Do you want to say something more about B Corps?
Yeah, I think it just exemplifies that what we're always saying is that you have to do your research, and that everything is a big gray area, because you can't just take a headline, Nespresso is now certified B Corp. Okay, I'm going to run with it. I mean, you can make your own decisions, do whatever you want. But to me, I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on, and to see what they actually do, and how they do it. I don't know. I can't get a feel for how much they care about, all the bad things that they've been known to do. I mean, I know other certified B Corp coffee companies are not happy.
Yeah, no.
And they got together and signed a letter expressing their thoughts on Nespresso certifications, and I'll link the letter or the article I got that from, because I think, sorry, my building is very noisy. Someone just slammed their door. Apologies. I've tried to soundproof as best I could. So I think there's room for improvement for both sides here. I did find something that said that B Lab in the past has been known to tighten their standards on their certifying financial companies. So I think, like I mentioned earlier, you get it's a sum total. So maybe there's a way to tighten standards and for each individual kind of pillar they certify for. But also, I feel like for a company company known to do, all of these human rights violations and to be in the news for, to be certified, I don't know, I feel like you owe a bit more. I don't know. You got to work harder to earn that certification.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I mean, yes, they're not starting from nothing. But then, I don't know, I agree, but there's part of me which is like kind of like a practical side, which is just like, this is a huge, Nespresso is a big company. Nestle is an enormous company.
And not going anywhere.
Right. They're not even, yeah, exactly. They're not going anywhere. So anything that we do that motivates them, even if that motivation is for money, to maintain a share of the market, but like anything they do is better than...
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, like everything. Right? It just, the issue that these neighbors, sorry, y'all, is just, it's just has me questioning this B Corp certification, and probably come back to a general certification episode.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard because, it's also all very well as saying, like, do your research, but most of the time we don't have the capacity or the knowledge or the information. Like, where do you find, something like the B Corp certification does is it brings together all the information. One would have hoped that they're doing their due diligence, and you can kind of look at their overviews, or that they're looking at multiple different things. It's like a shorthand, right? To be able to, okay, it's like a B Corp, right? And then then you can eliminate other things on the list, and then if you want, you can look further, or you can just sort of accept it. And it is true, it makes it more difficult because you're now like, oh, but they're certifying someone who I'm like, I definitely don't think are
worthy of the certification.
Right. Who else might they have certified? Why did they certify them? Was there some sort of like influence there? Was it just a mistake? It does make you question things.
It does. So it's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on and see what B Lab's response is to like the letter that the other coffee companies wrote and signed. And I guess, like I said, continue to treat it B Corp certification like recycling. Good place to start, bad place to stop. Because, I mean, you're right. There is no perfect solution, and it is all relative. It just...
Right, I think
sit right with me.
Yeah, and I can imagine, it's probably also a difference of emotional investment in that I hadn't really heard of B Corps. I mean, I know you've talked about them before, but that's where I've heard about them. It's not been something I've been particularly aware of. So if it's something that you have kind of put some faith in, right? Understandably, it's going to be more of a like, oh,
wait a minute. What did you do? Why did you do that?
Whereas for me, I can be a bit more like, oh, well, because I haven't, been so invested. Whereas if like a fair trade thing, a similar scandal came up, then I might be like, oh, but like that's something I'm care about.
Which reminds me that one of the terms that came up when I was researching is, we talked about greenwashing, but I hadn't heard this term, fair washing.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
What is like some greenwashing? Like, hey, look, our product is like green, environmentally friendly, but it's not really. It's just so they can get you to buy it because they know that people are starting to care more about, how we're treating our planet. Fair washing is, like you just said, fair trade. Is making something appear like it's being done in a fair way. Yeah, but it's just for sales, for profits. Yeah, there is no impact really behind it. And that doesn't. I also seen some like purpose washing, a similar word. Basically, just all these marketing terms to make money. Over the impact they're claiming to make. Yeah. Which ain't great. No. So Nespresso, B Corp. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'll link to that letter.
Tell us your thoughts.
Let us know what do you think, give a shitter about this. Had you heard of B Corps? Had you heard of Nespresso? Do you have thoughts on this? Does it make you question certifications in general? Like it is me, sending me down a bit of a gray spiral. What do I do? And yeah, I wonder is there's an easy way for, like, I know these coffee roasters wrote a letter. Is there an easy way to contact, like, B Lab to, like, share our thoughts?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like I said, I couldn't find, like, a response from them either. So I'll look into that. And then something else I had written down is, you know, if you do drink Nespresso, I don't know, maybe consider buying and supporting a local coffee roaster. That's what I came up with as far as, like, an action. Because, yeah, we talked about doing your research. And it's great to do if you have the time and knowledge and etc.
And I'm pretty sure I haven't had gotten a Nespresso, but my brother used to have one of the capsule ones, and they ended up getting these reusable capsules, and then you can fill it with your own, like, the coffee of your choice.
Yeah, I'd done that before. I had a roommate who had a Keurig, and I bought, like, a reusable.
I mean, from what he said, it doesn't turn out quite as good.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. I think, linking on his name, but YouTube channel I follow, I think did, like, a whole video on, like, Keurig, and yeah, that is better, but it doesn't make the best coffee. Yeah. So if you're, like, a true coffee aficionado or whatever, coffee snob, don't really have an answer for you.
Yeah.
And I know you had noted that a question you had brought up, is it possible to ever make an unsustainable product more environmentally friendly? Yes, it is. It's all relative. They claim we use aluminum pods over the plastic Keurig.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's still putting the responsibility on the consumer, because I don't think they're acceptable everywhere. Like curbside recycling.
Right.
So a small percentage actually gets recycled. So yeah, there are lots of elements to this.
Lots of issues, yeah.
Personally, I'm not going to now support Nespresso. Like, I'm not going to start buying it just because they're a certified B Corp. I'm going to keep an eye on this and see, what comes up, what happens, what comes out of this, the response from those coffee roasters in the letter.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, ultimately, like, a question I jotted down is, does this change other B Corps? Is it not as important now? It does change it for me.
Would you now doubt a B Corp?
Yeah, I would doubt them more. I would be less like, oh, they're a B Corp. Okay, I'm good. I would have more of a doubt, like, well, let me investigate a little bit more into this company.
Yeah, that is, like, a big negative impact for the certification.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where I've landed for now. See how it unfolds. All right. Shall we move on to the next bit of news? Patagonia.
Yeah, this one's everywhere. The Nestle one, the Nespresso, I hadn't really heard about until you kind of mentioned you wanted to talk about it for that episode. But the Patagonia is like, that seems to be everywhere. And either seems to fall along the lines of, like, they're having a massive tax break by doing this, or, like, this is a really unique, that model for, like, a for-profit, but for the environment company.
Yeah. So yeah, what happened? Patagonia, first of all, is an outdoor clothing company, basically, that has always been known to be a bit different, putting people and environment pretty high up on their values. If you go on their website, it's like shop, activism, news, like,
and they've given percentages of their profits for quite a long time.
And they're also a certified B Corp. So there's the tie-in. So yeah, their founder, I don't know how to say his name. There are a lot of vowels. Ivan Schonard. Is that how you would say it?
I'm not sure.
Apologies, Ivan, if that's incorrect. Gave away the company to fight climate change. And how did he do that? So basically by donating his company.
But donating it to a company that, like, to a
nonprofit
that he set up.
And a trust. So we have the Holdfast Collective. This nonprofit will make sure the company's annual profits, which are about $100 million per year, will be used to protect nature and biodiversity, support thriving communities, and fight the environmental crisis. And the letter on their website basically described it as that's where 100% of the non-voting stock goes. I don't really know enough about stocks and voting and within a company structure, but so that's that. And then the Patagonia Purpose Trust, the idea is that it will create a permanent legal structure so that the company can never deviate from Chouinard's vision that a for-profit business can work for the planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's where all of the voting stock goes, whatever that means.
And which was all owned by the family already. Like I don't, as from what I maybe double check that, listener, but that is what I understood from the research I've done.
So, and yeah, and then the letter on the website was, I like this quote, truth be told, there was no good option available, so we created our own. So one option was to sell Patagonia and donate the money. And that was like the initial response that like when I was looking into this is like, why don't you just donate the money? But according to this letter, he said we couldn't be sure that a new owner would maintain the values or keep our team of people around the world employed, which I think is good considering the people. Another path was to take the company public. And in this letter, what a disaster that would have been, he's quoted to say. Even public companies with good intentions are under too much pressure to create short-term gain at the expense of long-term vitality and responsibility, which also sounds legit to me. And then there's that quote, truth be told, there were no good options available, so we created our own, which, I mean, I think is great.
Yeah.
And instead of going public, you could say we're going purpose. Instead of extracting value from nature and transforming it into wealth for investors, we'll use the wealth Patagonia creates to protect the source of all wealth. And then it talks about that structure, voting, non-voting. And I mean, I don't have as many issues with this piece of news as the Nespresso becoming a certified B Corp, because I think some criticism that I think I do agree with is that maybe it's giving too much credit. Like, oh, look at this, like, this rich white guy, like, doing good for the environment. Like, are we putting too much, like, praise in his direction? This should be more of a standard thing. It's not really putting people over profit. There's still profit involved because for the money to then go to this nonprofit and trust. Yeah. There has to be profit, which is selling their products. Which they've always tried to use more sustainable materials, and that's a whole other thing. So, I don't know, what are your initial thoughts on this?
I think it's certainly interesting. I think, I don't know. I think I feel generally positive about it. You know, I do think it obviously raises some questions. I'm not so the tax issue. I'm not so like
bothered about.
Yeah, as in, and again, maybe I would be more bothered if I fully understood how
taxes work,
like how the taxes and the stocks work.
Yeah,
but it's like, if you look at the record of the company, do they have a history of evading tax?
Not to my knowledge.
Like, does that seem consistent? Does that seem consistent? From, I mean, obviously, I don't know what that person thinks, but it seems more consistent with the values that they presented over a long period of time in business to say they are genuinely trying to do what they're saying they're doing. And it's sort of a weird side effect of how tax works in the system in the country they're in, that by donating money, then that's like becomes
a tax break,
which can be used by wealthy individuals to avoid paying tax by, giving money to family, etc., etc.
But if the money is not ending up back in their pockets with a tax break, if it is in this nonprofit, in this trust, and the money does go to what they say it's supposed to go towards, I don't really see an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that I find interesting is kind of like this kind of ethical, thing about, obviously, because he's a very wealthy individual through creating this business, and I presume his family and the other people involved, it is this kind of the power and influence one individual can have versus, for example, if it was just a normal company paying tax, then the government is choosing where to spend the tax. And in theory, that is could be argued to be a more ethical option, because in theory, a government should be representing the wants of the people. Now, we know that's not necessarily always the case, but that is the theory that, that the government is representing a broader range of people. And I can also see right now I'm happy with what he's doing because I'm in agreement with the values that this person have. I think it's great. Like, it sounds on paper, it sounds great. However, if he was an ultra right-wing political activist, like gun lobbyist, and was like, I'm putting all of, which is equally viable, right? That I'm putting everything into this private company that's going to work to, you know, to develop the ultra right wing across the world because this is the correct
what I
way,
that
this is what I believe to be correct. I think I'd have a lot more issues.
Yeah, I would too.
So it is, by creating this structure, it's leaving a lot up to an individual. And because of the amount of wealth, obviously, then that does have a big impact.
Yeah.
Whereas in theory, a system like taxation is designed to create a fairer system because the government should be thinking of the people as a whole.
In theory, on paper, yes. But I don't know.
So that's kind of my grey area with it. If, like, taking it and being like, okay, but if this was in a different situation. And, you know, do I even agree with an individual being able to have this much wealth?
Well, no.
To begin with.
The uneven distribution of wealth is an issue. But I think, like I said, I am in agreement with the motivation behind it, and I think that I hope that it will inspire other companies to do something similar, because it is working within the system that we currently have for all its flaws, and you know, our time is limited to improve things.
Yeah.
Climate wise, so I'm that. Well, I see your point. I still support this because I do.
I think it'll definitely be interesting to see. I don't. It'll be interesting to see how it works. And it's definitely interesting, you know. Yeah, there is an element. Yeah, there's the, you know, I was just thinking again, you know, other options like creating cooperatives or having employees have more of a share in the business. You know, they've definitely chosen an individualistic route, which allows them to be more extreme in the action that's being taken because it's based on one person's vision, or if maybe you know, a few people, a small group vision. So more decisive action can be taken, but
I think had this been like a brand new company or a company without a track record like Patagonia has for doing good, I might question it more, but to me it just seems in line with their values, and I believe that the money will do what they say it's going to do. Whereas like Nespresso, I don't believe that. I don't know. I don't have as much faith in their attempts to, you know, have a greater impact on the planet and people.
Right. I mean, yeah, I definitely, and that's why I'm not worried about the, or I don't, yeah, like the tax break stuff. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem to be part of the ethos. Like, there's a lot of work to avoid paying tax.
True.
I think, unfortunately, it shouldn't be like this. There are a lot of ways rich people and big companies use to evade paying tax, which are a lot simpler than...
A lot less public.
And a lot less public than creating...
Yeah, I did find... I wanted to read this blurb from an article I found about the taxes. While critics noted that the deal enables the family to avoid paying hefty estate taxes, defenders said that since the sellers had accepted not one penny for their shares, no taxes were due. Chouinard insists that the arrangement ensures that max profits go straight into social action without being taxed first while passing through shareholders' hands. It will also protect against what he sees as capitalism's biggest flaw, the chance that future leaders would compromise Patagonia's principles. Ultimately, he hopes this move will inspire others to take outrageous actions of their own. Yeah, and I share that hope. But yeah, like I said before, there is a danger putting him and Patagonia on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. So I need to check that, like, with myself. Yeah. That this is not, oh, look how great he is. In fact, just, okay, good. Now what's next?
Yeah, it is really interesting. I hadn't realized how, because even hearing you say that, I mean, I'm just going back to what I've already said, but it is true. There's like a part of me that is quite, even though I agree with what he's doing, that is very wary of, like, even this, by not paying tax, we're giving more money towards action. Mm-hmm. And it really is an individualistic approach. It's really being like, we know,
but within the broken system
than our government.
Yeah.
And we're going to make a better choice than our government. Which is maybe true.
I think it's true.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
Because, there's an argument that, okay, if the money should be taxed and go to the government, well, I don't trust that the American government would have a similar impact.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a big fan of taxes, so...
I mean, me too, pay your taxes, but I think he's doing the best he can with the resources he has. He's not a politician. He's not, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, I don't disagree with you.
Right.
But at the same time...
Yeah, on like a practical level, yes. I agree. It's probably going to have a more positive impact. I guess there's like a part of me that's grappling on a theoretical level or an ethical level, which
it's like
is,
a parallel issue,
right? Like I believe in taxation, and I believe in generally higher taxation, because I think money should be shared. Mm-hmm. And the democratic systems we have in most countries are that the government has an overview and theoretically will put that money into areas that benefit society as a whole.
In theory, yes. But in the US, where the sheer volume of money and taxes that are spent on military and...
Yeah.
I'd prefer this route than this money being taxed and going to the military.
Right. And if you... and if it was someone who has completely different values?
I mean, they're entitled to their opinion. But the good thing about this podcast is that it's our opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
So yeah, I don't have major issues. I think there are definitely things to consider and be wary of. And, rich white men do have a lot of power.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I like talking with you has made me feel more... Like, it's weird. I feel this quite a strong emotional reaction that I didn't expect to feel that has like a wary element of this.
More so than like the Nespresso.
I guess I'm less... Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the Nespresso one... Yeah. But like it's interesting. I'm like, what value of mine is this like unexpectedly hitting that the other one didn't? Because obviously it's like hitting on something that I wasn't expecting it to. And I mean, I think it's what I said. I think it's like this, that I'm pro collective action and wary of, in some way wary, like theoretically, of the power, like the power that one person holds by having that much money, and by basically kind of taking like obviously their opinion and throwing all their money at it. I happen to agree with his opinion, so I'm like pro it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's really interesting. It's like hitting this, like a part of me that's like, oh, you know, which I didn't expect. And then I'm like, why doesn't the Nespresso hit the same?
I suppose it's different if like you're not someone who typically relies on or looks for third party things.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so should we try to tie it all together? Wrap it all up.
What's come out of that for you? What do you think?
So I think, well, my initial like main kind of takeaways and taking action were based specifically on like these two issues separately. So I had said about Nespresso is doing more research when you can, and using maybe not just things that are certified B Corps, but any third-party certification as like a jumping off point. So do your research, you know, dive deeper when you can, as you can. And with Patagonia, I think if you consider supporting them, if you need outdoor apparel, they also have like I don't know what the name of their program is, but they repair their own products. So they take they take that responsibility on, and other general, like, you know, do you really need to buy something? Treat your clothes better, etc. But I think it's more of, as far as like taking action, it's more of a, you know, like we always say, what is your priority? Is it material? Is it environmental impact? Is it the people? But then I also thought of like just news in general, like these two pieces of news have sent me into
a great spiral.
Yeah, some great spirals. And I am someone who tends to limit the amount of news that reaches me. So that is something to consider if you are getting bogged down by like climate, environmental news in general, to tweak how you consume news. If you need to unsubscribe from things, unfollow people on social media, etc. Because like most things, it does come down to how you relate to the issue, as we've demonstrated in this in this chat
episode.
And you know, we can't say whether you should or shouldn't, I don't know, support Nespresso or Patagonia. It's your decision, and I don't know, hopefully the points we've made have helped you determine your thoughts on that. Hopefully haven't sent you into a great spiral of your own. But I think my main takeaway is that, I had my train of thought and now I just lost it. Is you can't just take something for face value. There are a lot of pieces into like each of these things that we've talked about in the Nespresso and the Patagonia.
It would be nice to take it at face value.
It would be. It really, really would be. But then I don't think we'd have this podcast. So we will leave you with all links and resources that we talked about, and probably more that we didn't even get to, because I think this episode has already gone on a bit. Oh yeah, we're 50 minutes in.
Oh wow, okay.
And I think in future episodes try and keep it under 30 minutes, but I think I had more to say than we thought we did on these two pieces. I thought by having two main things to talk about, it would...
We just needed to choose a one.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, here you go. Enjoy, or hope you've enjoyed. And let us know your thoughts and main takeaways from this episode. On our Instagram at the Tea on Sustainable Living.
Yeah. On our website.
On our website, theteaonsustainableliving.com, where you can find all show notes and links. And yeah, the show notes for this episode will be theteaonsustainableliving.com/episode 15. And yeah, moving forward, as far as our Instagram, I'll still just like repurpose these episodes. And then if things come up, if these things pop up in the news again, their involvements, I will try to post them at the very least in stories. And yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out, because it's not really something that we can, like, there is a final thing to it. Both of these, it's like, well, we need to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And will both of these companies do what they say they're going to do?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
So yeah, to be continued. And yeah.
All right.
I think that's it. Thank you so much, Give a Shitter, for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
Now, go share it with a friend,
a coworker,
a partner,
a family member,
or whoever.
A pet, your cat,
someone on the street, whoever you think could use a little more support on their sustainability journey. Share it.
You can send them over to our website, theteaonsustainableliving.com. And while you're there, check out the show notes for more info on today's topic.
All right, Give a Shitters. See you later. Get it? See you later, as in see you later. So funny.
Brandy.